Welcome to Fearless with Jason Whitlock. I'm Jason Whitlock, your host. Happy Monday. Thank you for joining me. It's a Fearless Football Monday, and man, I got some great stuff planned for us today. On this Fearless Football Monday, Steve Kim, Butter, Shemeka Michelle will join us. First thing you guys need to do is join us with the Fearless Mission by visiting our site, fearlessmission.com. Use the promo code Fearless40. You can save $40 on a yearly subscription. It's the greatest thing you could do to support me and this channel and the kind of content we're doing. Fearlessmission.com. Fearless40 is the promo code you need for your subscription, $40 off your subscription. We need that type of support so we can continue to do what I'm about to do today, and that's give you the 10 best talking points, the 10 best opinions on what we just witnessed during this NFL and college football weekend. Plus, because it's me, at the very end, I'm going to throw in a little WNBA talk. The WNBA finals were last night, and they were fascinating, interesting, embarrassing, tragic, rigged. But we'll get into all of that. Steve Kim is going to join me. Steve, I'm going to fire off 10 opinions. I'm going to get your take, and Butter will chime in from time to time on all 10 of these. I'll start with, and give me a second here, I'll start with Deshaun Watson and the Cleveland Browns. No, you didn't have to take Steve down. But anyway, since you did, let me start with Deshaun Watson snapping his Achilles and Jameis Winston and Myles Garrett snapping afterwards. Because fans, there was a smattering of cheers and boos when Deshaun Watson had a non-contact injury, goes down, hurts his Achilles. Cleveland fans, some of them celebrated. You could hear a small smattering of cheers. They didn't know how to react. Then they gave him some applause when he got carted off the field. But this gave Jameis Winston and Myles Garrett and the Cleveland Browns organization a cheer. Oh, we're victims. The fans, they're so awful. How dare they cheer when Deshaun Watson got hurt? LeBron James even chimed in over Twitter, scolding Cleveland fans. Kind of responsibly. I don't want to beat up on LeBron too much because his comments weren't over the top. But I do think, and I actually halfway like Jameis Winston half the time. And his comments here are halfway defensible. But it is, oh my God, what an incredible victim I am. Oh, these fans, they're so terrible. Let's play Jameis Winston defending Deshaun Watson. Take a listen for yourself.
But I am very upset with the reaction to a man that has had the world against him for the past 4 years, and he put his body and life on the line for this city every single day, regardless of your perception, regardless of what you thought should happen with him. He committed every single day that I've been here to be the best that he can be for this team. And I know I come from the deep South, Birmingham, Alabama, Bessemer, Alabama. So I know the standard that hungry fans want. But the way I was raised, I will never pull on a man when he's down. But I will be the person to lift him up. And that all of us have unique experiences. All of us have circumstances, conditions, and facts that we face every single day. And I pride myself in being a man of increase and being a man that wants the best out of everybody. I tell myself every morning, what I want for myself, I want for everyone. And I do not want the treatment that Deshaun Watson has received from these passionate fans. I know you love this game. When I first got here, I knew these were some amazing fans. But Deshaun was treated badly. And now he has to overcome another obstacle. So I'm going to...
Listen, that was great by Jameis Winston until he gets to the end and Deshaun Watson faces another obstacle. Nah, a lot of the obstacles Deshaun Watson has faced, he created on his own. They were his doing. No one threw a banana peel. Deshaun Watson was out there hunting happy endings, and it blew up in his face. And I know that's relatable for a lot of guys. There's a lot of guys, let me raise my hand, that spent a lot of time hunting happy endings, but didn't do it in the fashion that Deshaun Watson did it in. And Deshaun Watson created these problems himself. I get why Jameis Winston's sympathetic, and I get why Myles Garrett is sympathetic. Let's play Myles Garrett, and I'm going to tell you what's the common denominator among these three guys. Play Myles Garrett.
No one deserves that. I've seen him work his ass off to, get back in here and put a smile on his face and, try to put everything that's outside the facility behind him. Death threats, people come to his house, people, going after his family. No, like I said, no one deserves that. And I hate using the word deserves. I'm usually, pretty consistent saying earned. He hadn't earned it, and he doesn't deserve it. Man does pretty much everything right. He's been a model citizen through college and most of the pros. He plays the game as hard as anyone I've seen. Puts everything on the line. Willing to throw his body out there, and he plays the game at 100 miles per hour, and there's a risk in being injured, and that he took that risk. But we have to be there for him as a team, as an organization. We can't look down on the guy because of any mistakes on the field or anything off the field. We don't have anything. We don't have any more high ground to look down on the guy.
Look, Deshaun Watson is a victim of his organization's incompetence. And Browns fans are a victim of the organization's incompetence. There's no way someone should have given Deshaun Watson $250 million guaranteed coming off of sitting out in Houston and all those allegations in Houston. To sit there and say, and I get that Myles Garrett has more information than fans, myself. He's heard Deshaun Watson's side of the story, and clearly he's sympathetic to Deshaun Watson's side of the story. Myles Garrett is young. He can't separate the fact, like, he's sitting there going, hey, man, everybody beating up on Deshaun Watson, every heterosexual, and hey, you don't even got to be heterosexual, every man, most men, and in his mind, every man has sought a happy ending and look like hypocrites in Myles Garrett's mind, blasting Deshaun Watson. But Deshaun Watson brought this on himself. He had all the arrangements and hunting women over Instagram and massages and all that. That's all on Deshaun Watson. He opened himself up for that, not being aware, not having his eyes open, not living up to the values that he espoused. And look, any of us could be vulnerable to a false attack, which I'm telling you, these guys think this was a money grab, and a lot of these women, or if not all of these women, are lying. They think, like, hey, maybe one or two of these women is legitimate, and if one or two women had accused Deshaun Watson of this, he would have a whole different narrative around him than, oh my God, he's a serial predator. But instead, 25 to 30 women have accused Deshaun Watson of this, and he's reviled, and he's also in Cleveland, he's been playing poorly. And they can't bench him, and he's needed to be benched. He's had one of the worst QB seasons in the history of the National Football League. He needed to be benched, and so a handful, let's say 10%, I don't know. I've hunted down the video to see, like, was there this amazing moment where half the stadium was cheering his ending? It's just not there. These guys are making too much out of it. They're trying to be sympathetic to Deshaun Watson, and I get it, especially coming from these two. Myles Garrett, 2 or 3 years ago, 4 years ago, I can't remember, maybe 5 years ago, got in a deal with Mason Rudolph where he tried to club him with a helmet, lost it, and became a reviled figure for a while and got a lot of people upset with him. And so he's sympathetic to Deshaun Watson because he feels like he's gone through the same thing. Jameis Winston was accused of rape in college, reviled because of that, had his reputation damaged because of that, because of the accusations around him. And then Jameis Winston further with the stolen lobsters or whatever he stole at the grocery store. These guys are sympathetic to Deshaun Watson. It's over the top, though. Nothing really happened here. If they would ignore it, Deshaun Watson was probably even unaware that it happened. You snap your Achilles tendon, there's tending to you. You're not paying attention. You don't know what they're cheering, booing about. They're making too much of this. I don't feel that sorry for Deshaun Watson. I know it's been a very difficult 4 or 5 year stretch for Deshaun Watson, but a lot of this he brought on himself. He accepted the guaranteed money, the $250 million. Oh, what else is he going to do? Well, this is what comes along with it. You take all that money and it's guaranteed, and then you go out there and play like trash, the fans are going to be upset with you. This isn't, if he were playing well, like a Ben Roethlisberger, post-allegations, the fans move on and get over it. I don't feel that sorry for Deshaun Watson. I think this may be a blessing. I think the guy really has a reason now to just duck out of football and say, you know what, my reputation, I don't want to be in this spotlight. I've made enough money. I'm guaranteed enough money. I would reach some sort of injury settlement with the Cleveland Browns and move on. I don't think teams I think will be afraid to touch him. There's so much negative energy around him. I think to some degree, this torn Achilles is a blessing for Deshaun Watson. Steve, I just wanted to unload all that context. Your reaction to Myles Garrett, Jameis Winston, and Cleveland Browns fans.
Well, first of all, good Monday to everybody. Start of another fantastic week. And Jason, I want to get this right off the bat. I think it is in bad taste when fans boo or cheer for an injured player. I've never been that way. I like to see the best players get out there and perform, even if it's a rival team. I get that point. And I want to say another one. Martin Luther Winston, wow, he's a national treasure. He's great. I can't get enough of the guy. And he just wanted to say, I have a dream that we can all eat this W. We want to eat the, but right now, Cleveland, y'all got to eat this L. A lot of L's over there. But this is where I think everyone is being a little bit hypocritical. All of us. Athletes always say our personal issues are personal. It's private, even when it gets public, like Deshaun Watson. Judge us by what we do on the field. Right. And the reason why a lot of aggravated, aggrieved Brown fans are booing had nothing to do with any of the allegations. He wasn't playing like Bernie Kosar or Bernie Sipes. So in that sense, they are judging you as an athlete, because if he was playing at a Pro Bowl level, it would have been a different reaction. The other thing is I keep hearing from media members, they didn't boo him till he was bad at football. That's not true either. The bottom line is there were a lot of Cleveland Brown fans that actually said, wait a minute, what are we doing here with this guy? You could actually dig up a lot of tweets where people question this. And again, us as fans, if I put my fan shoes on, let me just judge athletes by what they do on the field. I've never thought I was a moral arbiter. Okay? The other thing that gets me, the players themselves, again, they have to understand, we don't know you. You are not our neighbors. You're not our friends. You're basically guys that our kids are going to look up to, and you're on our fantasy football team. So your performance is going to drive how we feel about you and the emotions that we have. Okay? So again, we want to stay out of your personal business. We really do. Just don't commit any crimes against us or our families, and we're good. Be a good citizen. That's all we ask. But if you play well, you'll get treated that way. And Jason, from a personal standpoint, I think all of us have known people that have done things either publicly or privately that we do not condone. Maybe they're even unlawful, but they treat us well. Our personal relationships are very sound. They may have done us favors, or we lean on them. We enjoy spending time with them. And what do we say, Jason? Well, he's good by me. I mean, I can only judge him by how he treats me. So we all do it to a certain degree, Jason. That's why I don't really fall that hard on Garrett or Jameis.
Neither do I, because what I'm saying, they have more information. They've at least heard Deshaun Watson's side of the story, particularly Jameis in that quarterback room with him every day. I'm sure there's a friendship there. seems to be a friendship with Myles Garrett. Again, Garrett and Jameis both believe in the past they've been unfairly smeared, treated poorly by fans, and so they're sympathetic, and they've heard Deshaun Watson's explanation. None of the rest of us have ever heard, as far as I know, Deshaun Watson's explanation. He can't give it. Because if he tried to give his side of the story, it would be picked apart, then he would be unsympathetic, and then there would be even more vitriol directed his way. He can't give his side of the story. I've run into a lot of athletes that swear up and down Kobe Bryant did nothing in Denver, Colorado. This is not, he was unfairly targeted, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, hey, man, this girl's 19. He's married.
Yeah.
He's backdooring her in a way that a 19-year-old girl, I mean, these are just the facts. He's backdooring her at 19. He's 6'5", 6'6", backdooring a little 19-year-old girl. Kobe's an idiot. You thought that was going to go well? Some girl you just met and you're married? And so, but I know a lot of athletes are like, hey, she came up there, she got, that's their mentality. They're wrong. And so they've heard Deshaun Watson's side of the story. They're sitting there. Deshaun's like, he's a good-looking guy. Most of these women probably wanted it. There is a bit of a money grab, I would imagine, of these 25, 30 accusers. There are some that are totally bogus that just hopped in board, said, look at that guy. He's worth several $100 million. Let me see if I can grab $1 million of that. I'm sure there's some of that. But at the end of it all, Deshaun Watson put himself in that position, and I get these guys are sympathetic. They've heard Deshaun Watson's side, but I'm just not. I'm not buying it, and I think the smearing of Browns fans, because I went and hunted and was trying to let me find the tape, and the stuff that it was very muffled. It wasn't that many people. There's some isolated. You're in a stadium with 70, 80,000 people, and 5,000, 3,000 have something negative to say. Miss me with, I'm just not throwing a pity party. Butter?
Yeah, I spoke to some Browns fans yesterday. I called them today to find out who were at the game. They said overwhelmingly they didn't hear booing and they didn't hear that going on. And you could take the massage and all the stuff off the table for him. He missed 11 games last year. I don't think everybody was certainly clear that this was a season-ending injury, and it's just kind of been on par with him. I think it's a whole lot of nothing to do with nothing. And Steve, I love when we start the day off and you're in the jacket. I think it looks great.
Well, yeah, he's in the Cosell.
I get it.
The Monday Night Football Cosell jacket.
Monday night.
Yeah.
But he doesn't wear it every day,
jacket.
but I know when I see it on Monday, it's going to be good.
Oh, I know. I said it's the Monday Night Football jacket. Yeah.
Look, and for all the people out there, this is not a Hall of Fame gold jacket. I don't have that type of ego. Okay, it's the Korean Cosell homage to ABC and the great Howard Cosell. Okay, keep going.
There we go. All right. Let me do this first because I got got a topic off of Sunday Night Football that I want to unpack. Before I do that, I want to talk about our great friends at Flying Aces and Craft Co. There's nothing better at the end of a long day than sitting down in your favorite easy chair with a glass of your favorite whiskey. And hey, if it turns out that with every glass you're helping to support a great American cause, doesn't taste any better than that. It's time to chart your own course with Flying Ace whiskeys from Craft Co. Inspired by generations of American aviators and proudly made right here in the United States, Flying Ace is not only making amazing whiskeys, they're also committed to supporting our brave troops and their families through their partnership with Folds of Honor. They're providing scholarships to families of America's fallen or disabled. And these scholarships allow families to begin to chart their own new course after experiencing great sacrifice. Flying Ace whiskeys are American proud because they're American made, and they're American proud because they're helping to support our heroes and their families. Don't wait around. Today's the day to get your own and see what all the fuss is about. Buy online at flyingacesspirits.com. Use the promo code America to get free shipping. That's flyingacesspirits.com. Promo code America for free shipping. Steve, I watched last night's 37-15 Steelers rout of the New York Jets. And there's a lot of celebrating going on about Russell Wilson. I know Butter's part of that celebration. Mike Tomlin, seems to be patting himself on the back for making that decision to go with Russell Wilson over Justin Fields. That's not my takeaway from watching that game. My takeaway, Jets get annihilated. They fall to 2-4, I believe, or 2-5, maybe 2-4, 2-5. I can't remember. They fall. The Pittsburgh Steelers improve to 5-2, 37-15. Yeah, the Jets are 2-5. I feel more confident today that if I had to bet, there's a better chance of the Jets winning 8 or 9 games this season than Russell Wilson finishing the season as the Pittsburgh Steelers starter. Jets will win 8 or 9 games before any chance of Wilson finishing this season as the Steelers starter. What do you think? Am I right or am I wrong?
All right, so last year the Jets did actually hover right around 500. So you're basically saying they'll be the same team, flip a game or two. Look,
I'm saying they're going to win 6 or 7 more games this year, and there's only, they played 7. There's only 10 games left. I'm saying they're going 7-3 or 6-4.
Then in that case,
anyway,
give me
ahead.
Russell Weirdo. Russell Weirdo, as I like to say, was throwing more bounce passes than Steph Curry in the first half, but he gained momentum, and it certainly looks like Pickens wants to play for him a lot more than the other quarterback, but I still have some long-term concerns about what version of Russell Wilson exists. But I look at that Jet team, it kind of reminds me, and I think it was the year 2000 or 2001, when Dan Snyder still owned the Redskins. In fact, it was early on in his ownership, and they brought in all these big-name future Hall of Famers, Bruce Smith, Deion Sanders, and all that. And what they really needed in the locker room was a hot tub time machine. It was an old broken-down team. It looked good on paper, looked terrible on grass. Jason, you know me. I'm an Aaron Rodgers fan. I want this to work. I still find him fascinating on and off the field. 15-6. They have the ball with about 3 minutes. They're in complete control of the game. Breece Hall is really playing well. And I'm thinking to myself, wow, I could see this coming together. You have the ball for the rest of the half. You could kind of put this game away here. And what does Rodgers do? Throws it into the teeth of the defense, and the ball gets picked off. And instead of going in to extend the lead, it's 15-13, and you got the feeling, Mother Momentum is waving one of those Trump Vance terrible towels, and the game flipped. Now, Aaron Rodgers is a guy that can be very quirky. I don't know what he said at the press conference, but he needed to say, that's on me, fellas. That's completely on me. Okay, good. But it can never happen again. He's missing a lot of throws, Jason, a lot of routine-looking throws where if there's any semblance of pressure right up the middle, his feet are not planted, and he's just there's at least 3 passes I said, you got to complete that. So I will go with the latter here in your scenario.
Here's my problem. And this isn't me just taking a dump on Russell Wilson, because I actually want him to be successful. I halfway like Russell Wilson. Anytime they forced him to move and he had to throw on the run, there's a damn good chance it was going to be a bounce pass. It was a damn good chance it was going to be a bounce pass. He's throwing at someone's feet. It's bouncing off the ground. Yes, he hit a couple of moon balls to Pickens. Yes, the numbers look halfway, 264 yards, I believe, 2 TDs. What did he complete? 16 of 29 or something like that. And they're blaming it all on rust. He was rusty, and he got better as the game went on.
Rusty Wilson.
I'm not so sure, and I was not impressed with Russell Wilson last night, and I wanted to be. And I just wasn't. I don't think he's going to spend the entire year. I thought Collinsworth kept making a great point that, hey, when they got in that red zone area, particularly inside the 15-yard line or so, they'd have been better off with Justin Fields scrambling in and running in for a touchdown than throwing the ball around with Russell Wilson. Because Russell Wilson, he can't move the way he used to.
No, he can't.
I mean, no one can at 34 or 35 years old. But if he can't move, and when he does move, he's an inaccurate thrower, what's his real strength? A 5'10" guy sitting in the pocket, that you got to be able to move around a little bit and be accurate. If you're not as accurate as Drew Brees at that height, then you got to be able to scramble and run, and it's a bad combination. Butter, I know I was celebrating early thinking you were making a fool out of yourself. You probably felt pretty good after last night.
Yeah, I did. I was thinking back to one of my first shows here working with you, and the Butter Box was born, and that's where I ended up making a comment about my appreciation for Russell. He didn't play a super game, but I will say this, guys. He didn't turn the ball over. And the criticism that you're saying about the way he was moving, I think he's showed me last night he moves well enough and understands. I think similar to how Patrick Mahomes moves in the pocket, Russell is smart with the way he moves. I don't think he has to have Justin Fields type breakaway speed. He gets out of trouble enough, and I think the accuracy on the move will come back the more he plays. I think what he showed you yesterday is he didn't turn the ball over, and they got a victory. He got away with some throws. He threw a couple balloon balls that bounced around 9 times and ended up as completions. But in general, the plays that needed to be made and the intelligence that I think he brings to the game is what took them to the victory, and I think he's going to be all right. I stand by my statement.
We've had emotion from the support staff that the Mahomes-Wilson comparison is worthy of the Butter Box.
No. Steve Kim, don't let this happen, Steve.
Let's go to the replay review area.
Steve.
He compared Russell Wilson to Patrick
The way
Mahomes.
they move in the pocket, not as an over.
Steve, your thoughts on that?
I mean, look, Mahomes right now is a better scrambler than he is a passer. That's kind of the reality. The one thing about Russell Wilson that's very apparent, and it's also very apparent with Aaron Rodgers, there is a severe erosion in athleticism with both guys. Aaron Rodgers, I thought, moved around the pocket pretty well in the second game of the year against the Patriots. But again, it's the Patriots. He got crumpled up in that game against the Vikings, and he looks a little bit crippled. As for Russell Wilson, that used to be a strength in Seattle, extending plays. He didn't really throw on time a lot. And now when you see him, you see a guy that could probably take 2-3 steps, and he better get out of there or do something. And again, as Jason alluded to, there was a lot of 50-50 balls where George Pickens is making a circus grab. How sustainable is that over the long haul? That's the question.
Steve, I'm going to make an official ruling on this.
No.
We're going to go Butterbox for the next 2 topics.
No.
Starting early this week.
He compared Russell Wilson to a 2-time MVP, 3-time Super Bowl quarterback, 6-0 right now. I'm not going to sell out who made the motion. I'm not going to sell out who made the motion, but I have to agree. I think it's worthy of the Butterbox for the next 2 topics. Cut Butter's mic. Let me move on. Steve, the Detroit Lions, 2-point victory. 2-point victory over the Minnesota Vikings at Minnesota. This is a game that I thought for sure. I looked at the number. It's like Minnesota's -1. I was like, oh, my God, they're going to cover this playing at home. No Aidan Hutchinson. Minnesota's defense is going to give the Lions all kinds of problems. None of that materialized. The Lions' offense looked great. Jared Goff had another unbelievable game. The Lions scored just enough, recover from, bad turnover and all of that. But here's my take. Don't be fooled. The Lions still need to acquire a pass rusher if they're serious about winning the Super Bowl. I think they miss Aidan Hutchinson and cannot make it through the playoffs without. And I know there's talk that maybe could return for the Super Bowl, but they can't get there without Aidan Hutchinson. They still need to be active, looking for a pass rusher to replace Aidan Hutchinson. Your thoughts?
Jason, I agree with that sentiment. However, this is still one of the top 3 or 4 rosters in all the league. Brad Holmes has done an excellent job stocking every position room with quality guys. And Jason, you know what they're doing? And we talked about this about 3 weeks ago. less is more with Jared Goff. You notice how good he's been since he's throwing less, right around 25 times, and they are leaning on the run game. And Jason, I love David Montgomery, but there's an electricity with Jahmyr Gibbs, who a certain guy said, you know what? I think he's worth the first. Oh, that was me. Let me pat myself on the back
Yes,
there.
it was.
And he is an electric game breaker. And you see what they're doing. They're running the ball a little bit more, setting up play action. Ben Johnson is an elite play caller, got great concepts in the run game, and they play off of that. So what's one of the ways that you protect a defense that's not exactly the 85 Bears? Keep them off the field. Keep them off the field. You try to possess that ball at least 35 to 40 minutes, control the line of scrimmage, and then take some deep shots. I still believe this team is a threat, but Jason, to your point, you're right. Are they better off without Aidan Hutchinson? Of course not.
Yeah, definitely. How could you be better without Aidan Hutchinson? And listen, I obviously I think the power is actually in the AFC, and the NFC has a lot of teams that, to me are questionable, including the Vikings, the NFC, including the Vikings. Sam Darnold is a nice story, but I still am not sure if he is that guy. He's kind of like how I feel about Jared Goff, former top pick that's found a second team, but I don't fully trust Jared Goff, and that's why I'm a big believer in Aidan Hutchinson. They got to be able to create turnovers, and Hutchinson's such a big part of that. I stand by my opinion. If they don't add a pass rusher, won't make it to the Super Bowl.
Yeah. I'm going to put you in the whip box. Hey, Butter, move over. Say what you want about Goff. I'm not saying he's elite. The man's been to a Super Bowl. The man went to an NFC championship game. Sam Darnold on his, fourth team? Come on, Jason. A little respect there for Jared. Jeez.
A tiny bit of respect, but Jared's been carried to the Super Bowl. He's been carried. He got carried in L.A., and, he makes some questionable throws. I just don't count on him in the clutch. Let me move on to another one of my favorite topics or takes for today. This will really irritate people. Steve Spagnuolo, the Chiefs defensive coordinator, Steve. He is everything the media tried to make Eric Bieniemy. Everything. This dude and the Chiefs defense are absolutely carrying Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. If the guy had more melanin, everybody on TV would be clamoring for him to be a head coach and saying, it's criminal. The guy's been an NFL coach for 25 years. How has he never been a head coach? And he was an interim coach for a brief time with some NFL team. I can't remember. Steve, 11 straight regular season games for the Kansas City Chiefs with that defense allowing 2 or fewer TDs in a game. Go back to last year. The Chiefs defense has allowed more than 2 TDs in just 4 of 27 games. That's less than 15%. Steve Spagnuolo is who everyone said Eric Bieniemy was. He's the key to the Kansas City Chiefs. He's the top assistant. He should be the guy everyone should be trying to make a head coach.
Well, hold on. Before we completely slander Eric Public Bieniemy, UCLA's offense went up and down the field in New Brunswick as they beat Rutgers. So congratulations to that football program near the city of LA. Here's the thing. Didn't he get the Rams job years ago? I think he's actually been a head coach. Now, with that being
I thought it was on an interim basis. Hold on.
No, I think he actually got a job,
I screwed that up.
He actually has been a full-time head coach. Didn't work out, but the facts are the facts. Okay, so, yes, Jason, I think you make a great point. And maybe Spagnuolo's a guy like a Bud Carson, a Buddy Ryan, guys who got shots but were better as coordinators than head coaches. There are guys like that. But with that being said, this is not being talked about, Jason. Have you looked at Mahomes' number? His stats, how mediocre he's been? He's basically
8 interceptions, 6 INTs.
He's a game manager. He really is. And when you look at the Chiefs, if you did not know their reputation and you didn't look at the track record of that guy who's going to the Hall of Fame, Andy Reid, offensive guru, they are now basically, I hate to say it, a fancier version of the 2000 Ravens, who, by the way, didn't score a touchdown for a month. Yeah, seriously.
Yeah, you took it.
Maybe not that bad. That's a little hyperbole, but they are now.
No. There's some Trent Dilfer going on here. There's definitely some Trent Dilfer going on here. Yeah.
6 to 8. 6 to 8.
Yeah. Six TDs, 8 interceptions. It's a testament to how good that defense is. And they mentioned yesterday someone saying Chris Jones doesn't get the credit he deserves, and it's because he had the mistake of playing in the same era as Aaron Donald, and that took some shine off of him. But in reality, Chris Jones on that defensive side is every bit, this is crazy. He's every bit as valuable as Patrick Mahomes. It's a fascinating, because I literally thought, I was like, man, the Chiefs are turning into the Baltimore Ravens. And wasn't Marvin Lewis the defensive coordinator
yes, he was.
of that
yes,
great Ravens defense? And he went on to have a nice long career in Cincinnati. And I know people don't, because he didn't win playoff games, but he did a great job in Cincinnati. This looks like that team, and Chris Jones is kind of the Ray Lewis of this Chiefs defense. And, I love the Nick Bolton, but it doesn't matter who they plug in the secondary. It all seems to work with Spagnuolo. They lost Tyrann Mathieu, and the guys that replaced him seem to be, just as good. What Spagnuolo's doing and what the Chiefs are doing defensively is now a story that I think is going to start to get a lot of attention and people are talking about. I will give Patrick Mahomes this defense, man. That's a lot of injuries. That's a lot of, they lost Juju Smith yesterday. Hollywood Brown hasn't been there. Rasheed Rice hasn't been there. They lost Pacheco.
Worthy got banged up.
I'm gonna make an excuse for Patrick Mahomes, but JB is in the back of my head now when I watch the Chiefs and I watch how they just don't throw downfield. That they don't throw downfield. And the other thing that was weird yesterday is this tight end number 83 got going early in the game and then they went away from him. And it may be time to move on from Travis Kelce. His reputation may be better than his actual performance now that he's locked up with Taylor Swift, now that he's older. Maybe they should move on from Travis Kelce and feature this other tight end, because I don't know why he disappeared. Maybe, he was taken away by the 49ers defense. I don't know. I didn't see it. But it is a fascinating situation going on with the Kansas City Chiefs. Patrick Mahomes chasing Tom Brady. And none of this diminishes Patrick Mahomes because, listen, Brady won some early Super Bowls while being carried by a defense. And so if that happens for Patrick Mahomes again, no skin off him. If he gets his fourth Super Bowl on a defensive-laden team, doesn't diminish Patrick Mahomes. But it is fascinating what's going on with him and just how ineffective he's been.
Yeah, I agree. And you want to talk big picture? About 2 months ago, we talked about if Mahomes wins another Soup, puts up another Lombardi, does he surpass a guy like Montana, and does he get into the Brady discussion? If he does it as Trent Dilfer or Brad Johnson, no. Because I recall this about Joe Montana, who ruined my childhood as an LA Ram fan back then. Every year, the Niners won it. It was 81, 84, 88, 89. In that whole run, he was no worse than the second or third best quarterback in most of those years. And in 89, he played at a level that was incredibly high. 88, he was shaky. Him and Young kind of battled for the job. But context matters. I mean, you can win Super Bowls being a caretaker. And right now, when I look at Mahomes, look, there is an aura and a mystique to him. To a point, defenders don't even tackle him. I mean, that play on the sideline yesterday, I don't want to go full-blown Korean Buddy Ryan, but the next defensive coordinator that plays the Chiefs, I bring out like a flat screen TV, and I'm just going to say, fellas, whoever nails Mahomes cleanly, I don't care about the flag. This television is yours. They used to do that in the old. That's when football was a real game, by the way. But again, if he's going to be 6 to 8 touchdown to interceptions the rest of the year, and they happen to win it again, I'm sorry. That does not place him above cool Joe Montana. I can't do it, won't do it. It's not going to happen.
I tend to agree with that. All right, let's move on. Butter's now out of the Butter box.
Welcome back.
This is a good topic for Butter. I think he can help us out here. Steve, I don't know if you saw this, but Antonio Brown and Le'Veon Bell both were at the Trump rally in Pennsylvania this weekend. Trump was at the Sunday Night Football game last night as well. AB spoke at the Trump rally. He used the word cracker while speaking there. Le'Veon Bell wore a Trump or Tramp T-shirt.
Woo.
Trump or Tramp T-shirt. That triggered Jamel Hill. Let's start with Jamel Hill's tweet. That triggered Jamel Hill. She's very upset about the Trump or Tramp tweet. I don't believe in telling athletes to shut up and dribble, or in your case, shut up and run the football. You have a right to say whatever you want, but that doesn't mean it protects you from public criticism and correction. To call a highly educated, accomplished black woman a tramp is despicable. I'm embarrassed we went to the same university. Let's say she was a highly intelligent, educated, accomplished white woman. You can call her a tramp? Is that legal now? So I don't get that. But look, highly educated, accomplished women can be tramps. Trust me, I've known a few. It can happen. But more than that, some people are leaning into, because Trump was in Pennsylvania, because he's at the Steelers game, they're having their 50-year anniversary, someone invited Trump to their suite. It seemed like Jerome Bettis, Mean Joe Green, and the family of Franco Harris put out a statement. The family of Franco all put out a statement in support of Kamala Harris, while Le'Veon Bell and AB were on the other side of that divide. Ryan Clark tweeted this out. Former Pittsburgh Steelers are split on the presidential election. One side has Mean Joe Green, Jerome Bettis, and the family of Franco Harris supported her. And the other has Le'Veon Bell and Antonio Brown. Different class of folks for sure. I would argue that one side has a pair of balls and the other doesn't. And this is just factual as far as I know. I tried to do the research. I don't believe Le'Veon Bell is married. I don't believe Antonio Brown is married. I looked up Mean Joe Green, Jerome Bettis. They're both married. That's the only difference. That's the difference. Two guys are afraid of their black wives. Two guys are unafraid and get to say exactly what they think. That's the difference between these two. It's not that, look, Antonio Brown and Le'Veon Bell definitely have their off-the-field problems or whatever, but I'm not sure. I know they're actually, in this case, as it relates to politics, they're smarter than Mean Joe Green and Jerome Bettis, who I'm telling you, just don't want to have to deal with their wives when it comes to what they really think about politics. Your thoughts?
Couple things. I wonder what Myron Cope thought of those terrible towels for Trump and Vance. That's one thing. The second thing is the hypocrisy of Jamel Hill. Did she wag the finger at people that make the orange man jokes about a highly accomplished white man and Donald Trump? See, this is the thing. They don't really care about the whole shut up and dribble thing. They care about who was saying it and to whom. Okay? So the other thing is, can we get Ben Roethlisberger on board? Because now it's a reunion. It'll be the first time those three have agreed on anything in a very long time. That should have been a dynasty that broke up. God, dog, shame what happened there. But I want to give Antonio Brown credit, though. It's one thing to go on social media and do what he does, and he came on your show. It was a very fascinating interview. I like the fact he's actually doing some real activism in the sense that he's getting out there and getting people to vote. He's actually going out there, spending his own money to almost campaign, putting his own time in there. And I find this whole thing to be fascinating now, how now people of color are now dividing themselves. Hey, Ryan Clark, who are you to judge? I'm being dead serious. This is now, and it goes to show you, Jason and Butters, this is not a battle of race. This is a battle of elites. It's a class warfare is what is taking place in America in this election.
I think you just put an S at the end of your names, Butter.
I'm running plural these days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, what do you think about AB, Le'Veon Bell?
I kind of get the impression Ryan Clark is sitting down peeing while he's shooting out his text messages. That's what I kind of get the impression of.
Whoa. Wow, Butter. Damn.
Butter comes out of the butter box with a full head of steam.
Jeez.
Comes out on fire.
That's what I think.
Bettis.
We're going to just leave it at that. All right. Hey, before I move on to number 6 here on my 10 football thoughts, let me tell you guys about our great friends at Alpine Gold. Inflation is eating away at your savings and is showing no signs of slowing down. At Alpine Gold, you can start earning a competitive return on precious metal leases that allow investors to protect against inflation while earning a competitive return at the same time. Every other precious metal IRA is lacking this. That's why Alpine Gold offers gold leases that pay you in gold. Everyone is eligible to start with returns up to 3.5% average per year. The Goldback is the world's first physical interchangeable gold money that is designed to accommodate even small transactions. Goldbacks do not need someone else's approval to spend, do not specify where they can be spent or what they can be spent on, and they're anonymous. There is no need to know who you are to spend them. When you buy 100 Goldbacks and lease them, Alpine Gold Exchange will give you 5 Goldbacks on your first lease payment. Payments occur 1 month after your lease begins. Limit 1 payment per person. Also, when you buy $1,000 of Goldbacks, they will waive all credit card fees. That's about a 3.5% saving. Learn more about Goldbacks by visiting alpinegold.com. Use the promo code FEARLESS to receive free shipping on orders of more than $200. That's alpinegold.com, promo code FEARLESS. Steve, I saw Bill Simmons complaining about Jerod Mayo. I saw Michael Lombardi taking some shots at Jerod Mayo. Patriots fans, Bill Belichick fans, they don't like what they're seeing from Jerod Mayo. The Patriots on early Sunday morning over in London. Holy cow. I watched this game. The Jaguars just rammed it down the Patriots' throats. Ran the ball, I believe, 17 straight times at one point late in the game. After the game, Jerod Mayo called his team soft, and maybe that's a reflection of Jerod Mayo. I think he's got the softest team in football. I was skeptical of this hire. It seemed like a DEI hire rather than someone that actually brought something to the head coaching position. Here's Jerod Mayo after the game calling his own team soft.
Good evening, or whatever time it is. Look, disappointing game. We came out, we started fast. What I would say is, look, we're a soft football team across the board. We talk about what makes a tough football team. That's being able to run the ball, that's being able to stop the run, and that's being able to cover kicks, and we did none of those today. They controlled the ball for most of the day. You know, their run game averaged over 4.5 yards a carry. Our run game, not sure what the average was, but it wasn't good. Look, back to the drawing board. I mean, we can't sit here and pout. We just got to put a game together.
The Patriots have lost 6 in a row. I think they're trying to compete with the Carolina Panthers for perhaps the worst team in football. Your thoughts on Jerod Mayo? Should we just overlook all this? They got a rookie quarterback. They started the year out with Brissett. It's a rebuilding deal. Or are we seeing something here from the Patriots that seems alarming? I think Simmons and Lombardi don't like the way Mayo has seemed to take some subtle shots at Bill Belichick. Anyway, Jerod Mayo off to a slow start. Should we be concerned?
First of all, there is no competition for worst team in football. It's Carolina by a long, long stretch and margin, okay? But I'm going to defend Jerod Mayo. He took over a bad team. Jason, there's a reason why they had a top 5 pick. And look, as someone that respects Bill Belichick, as I know he's one of the greatest, that was a bad team last year. There's a reason why he got jettisoned by Robert Kraft. And I get it. Lombardi, who I respect also, is an associate of him, does the podcast with him that I watch every week. But they didn't leave him that much. I know the defense last year with Belichick was pretty good, but I respect Rod Mayo's honesty. If it's a soft team, it's a soft team. And I think that's his way of saying, hey, guys, your jobs are on the line, including my own. And come next year, we're going to be bringing in new guys. I do not blame Jerod Mayo in a sense that he's not incorrect. And you look at that offense, which, again, a different subject. They have no playmakers. And do you know why? Because the last 5-6 years of that previous regime, they could not hit on anybody. I'm actually surprised Drake May is having any success at all. It's not like they have Stanley Morgan and Irving Fryer out there, Jason. I give Mayo a little bit of credit for this. He's being blunt and honest. He's not wrong. Now, you can question if he should be that honest, but again, he ain't wrong.
Did you just go full blown? He's bringing in Louis Luggage next year, and these guys should hit the transfer portal.
Well, no. In that league, it's called the waiver wire, and they have a draft, and they have this thing called free agency. But Jason, and I've said this on other shows, look at the last few drafts of Bill Belichick, and offensively what they did. It's embarrassingly bad. It's baffling because it's Bill Belichick, but it is what it is.
Yeah, I got a whole. I've watched some of the Patriots, and I certainly watched Sunday, and man, that looked really bad. It looked really soft. I couldn't imagine being a former linebacker, promoted to head coach, following in the footsteps of Bill Belichick, and putting a defense out there that the Jacksonville Jaguars could just line up and just run the ball down your throat with some kid named Bigsby. They didn't even have Etneen wasn't even there. It was bad. I hadn't seen anything like. They just took their manhood, and as a head coach and a former defensive player, Mayo had to be embarrassed by that. I kind of don't blame him because he took the words right out of my mouth. Like, this is a soft team.
Right.
The only thing that he needed to add, though, is and that's a reflection of me and this coaching staff. We need to be doing something different because, these are all scholarship NFL players making good money. It shouldn't be that easy just for someone to line up and run to gas you like that. That was embarrassing. Steve, you got to be patient with me here. I got a lot to unload on this next topic, so it may take me a second. Take Steve off camera while I want to talk about Deion Sanders and Colorado. And everybody's celebrating. Oh, my God, they blew out Arizona. Man, they're 5-2. Oh, God, look at this turnaround. Deion Sanders is back. He's done it. This is incredible. I'm not buying it. Deion Sanders is fool's gold. And what Colorado is doing is fool's gold. And yes, they may win 6 or 7 or 8 games this year. They may win 9. I don't know. But it's not one of the most impressive things I've ever seen. It's not that impressive to me, given the way college football has changed. This is fool's gold. This is a reflection of the transfer portal and being able to just buy up talent. You don't have to recruit talent. You don't have to develop talent. You have to buy talent. And yes, everybody's playing by those rules, and it's the same for everybody. Everybody can buy talent. Well, okay, so let's judge everybody on this new standard. Is what Deion's doing, is it as impressive as what the Zignetti's doing over at Indiana University? They're 7-0. And they just beat the brakes off of Nebraska like 56-7. Nebraska's the same team that ran the ball down Colorado's throat and beat them, I believe, 28-7. Deion and Colorado are benefiting from playing in a very suspect and weak Big 12. If you watch Georgia, Texas, Alabama, Tennessee, if you watch SEC football, if you watch Big 10 football, you can see the gap between the Big 12, the SEC, and the Big 10. The gap is enormous. BYU is the best team in the Big 12. Not knocking them. They're undefeated, and hats off to them. They won on the last second play this weekend. Hats off to them. But that's not what's going on in the Big 12. Isn't the same as what's going on in the Big 10 and the SEC. It's not the same as what was going on in the Pac-12 last year. When Deion and Colorado face a team with a suspect quarterback, and this Fajita or Fajita or whatever the kid's name was for Arizona is a suspect quarterback. Didn't bring you anything in the running game, didn't bring you anything in the passing game, and Deion and them took advantage. And Colorado's defense is improved, I will give them that. And Colorado's 5 wide, throw it around the field offense, it's improved. But what the biggest improvement in Colorado is their schedule and moving into the Big 12 conference. I know I sound like a hater, and maybe I am a hater, but this is what I authentically believe. This is fool's gold. This isn't some great turnaround and comparing what Deion did to Carl Durrell or any of these other coaches that took over Colorado before you could just buy players, before you could just kick players off the team. This isn't the same rebuilding job. I was in Kansas at the time Bill Snyder took over a really horrible football program at Kansas State. And I watched the man take players that weren't his and turn them into great players. Turn them into guys that could win. I've seen other coaches take someone else's garbage and turn it into something respectable. That's not what Deion has done. So let's don't compare this to the turnarounds in the past. Let's don't compare this to don't even compare it to what Cignetti's doing, because, again, and I know Indiana has bought some players, but he's having more success in a tougher conference than Deion Sanders. Deion Sanders is in a conference that's down and is weak, and he's been able to rush out and dump all these players where other coaches had to actually go through the process of developing players they didn't recruit, replacing them with players they did recruit, and winning at the same time. This isn't some historic turnaround. Call me a hater, I'll plead guilty. Is it nice what Deion's doing? Is it more than what I expected? Yes, it is at 5-2. It is more than what I expected. But every week when I watch these teams that Colorado's playing in the Big 12, I'm like, whew, Arizona's just not any good. Colorado State, not any good. They don't, UCF, not any good. College football is just different. And yes, there are now easier paths to a respectable record. That's what Deion is benefiting from. Great timing. Has he done some things better? Yes. Is his son at quarterback a really good player? Yes, he is. Do I think he's going to be a great player in the NFL? I'm not so sure. He holds the ball too long. I don't think he's got the right attitude. But Deion and the 3, 4, 5 wide receivers they have, those guys are good. And they went out this past Saturday. Something very subtle went on with them featuring LaJohntay Wester and not Travis Hunter. I think Deion thought he had an opportunity to sneak Shedeur back into the Heisman race, and he could sneak him back in by, hey, he doesn't need Travis Hunter to be effective, to have a great game. And they did that this past weekend. Travis played, but they, to me, leaned more into the Wester guy. I got so frustrated with the game. I'm just keeping it real. When Deion and those guys are playing well, it's hard for me to watch. So I didn't watch the second half with the kind of attention I did the first half. I got to be honest. I'm that kind of frustrated because, again, I don't like Deion. I don't want Deion's style of coaching rewarded. What he did by booting all those players off his team and treating them in the fashion he did, I just don't respect him. I don't respect all the rap music and the injection of hip-hop culture into the locker room. And while you're claiming a relationship with Christianity and Jesus Christ, I just don't like it. I don't want to see it rewarded. But give him a little credit. If you like Fool's Gold, you'll love Deion and what he did. Final thing, I want to play this clip of Deion opened his press conference with his son Shiloh seated by him. This is more of what I just don't like. It's about Deion and his sons. It's not about the team. Shiloh had an okay game, certainly better than the week before when he played like trash. He opened the game with a blitz and caused a sack or caused a bad play early in the game. But here's Deion and Shiloh at the beginning of Deion's post-game press conference.
Shiloh, go ahead.
I'm just here to just say that God is going to test you, and God tested me last week just to see how I'd respond. You know what I'm saying? Everybody goes through ups and downs, and, it's better for me that I went through the down. It made me lock in more, made me watch all my film. Just watching film and seeing what I did wrong and critiquing myself the most. I was calling my dad, like, once a day after practice, just talking about the day, how I'm feeling, how I'm seeing things.
The depth to play from, all it was
everything.
Football.
But you just gotta.
He needed that.
That just made me lock in and be like, all right, I'm the free safety. Everything should be in front of me, and I gotta put the ziplock on the defense.
That's team just won. Deion starts out his press conference on a personal note with his son Shiloh. He thinks it's, hey, this is a great message to a young kid. It's always about Deion and his sons. There's a bunch of other kids on that roster. Every kid in football, the game's going to humble you. That's a universal deal. Showcasing your son after he has an okay game, after having a bad game, and then putting him out there. God's going to tell you. It's fool's gold. Steve, am I over the top here denigrating Deion's amazing 5-2 record?
You're gonna be disappointed by what I say. Let's lay this out here. Arizona last year was one of those teams in the Pac-12, that much tougher conference, that they beat Colorado last year in Boulder on a last-second field goal. And we pointed this out last Friday. Once Jed Fish swam upstream to Seattle, I think it kind of gutted that team's soul. And look, I think you're being a little tough on Fafita. I think that change in offense has not been beneficial to him. They still have T-Mac outside, who I believe is a first-round draft choice. Here's what is impressive about what Colorado did. And I was watching this game with JB and Sean King on Saturday. The thing that was impressive was they were workmanlike. It wasn't flashy. They just got the business done, and they just methodically blew out an inferior team on the road. Take away who they played. Again, that was not Desert Swarm out there in Tucson. But the way they just systematically beat them, I was like, you know what? That's pretty impressive. They took care of business. And Jason, to be fair, I love Cignetti. All that guy does is score a lot of points and win. Google him, right? But he also brought in a lot of his own Louis from his previous stop. And his quarterback is an old Mac guy that you would appreciate, Curtis Rourke. And I hope he's okay for the next couple of weeks. With that being said, Jason, here's the difference when you start comparing Deion to other coaches that are trying to rebuild a program. There is a realization Deion's not going to be here past Shador and Travis Hunter. So that's why there is no 5-year rebuilding plan. Like other coaches get to a program, and in their second year, they're making progress, and you always say, wow. In years 4, 5, and 6, he's going to have this thing rolling. Jason, there's a better chance he's not going to be here by 2026 than there is that he's actually still the coach at Colorado. I think that's why your judgment and the opinions of a lot of other people on Deion are a little bit different, because here's the reality. If Shedeur goes pro, which I think he will, who's their quarterback of the future? Who's the guy waiting in the wings? And you know what Deion's already said about home visits and recruiting. I don't do those. They come to my house. Well, I don't know about you. This is where I'll be a little anti-prime. I don't think that's going to work in high school recruiting at the highest level, but that's just my opinion.
And that's why I don't want it to work. Butter, you got anything?
As a dad, almost most nights, what happened? Steve didn't like your response to him. He's laughing.
No, that was funny.
As a dad who's at baseball games almost every night with my sons, and I see all of these other fathers there, I don't particularly like how every father has his interaction with his son. Some of those fathers are coaches. Some of them are great coaches. All I can say is this. It's not for everybody, but Deion is in the middle of this with his sons, and I think there's some respect that I have for it. It's not how everybody would handle it. I understand your position, but there is some respect that I throw Deion's way. He's right there with these guys. He's right in the battle with them. They play hard. They're 5-2 or 6-2, whatever they are, and they're winning. So I got to say it's...
Well, I wanted a father's perspective, and you gave us one. And so I respected that, you know, you're in the trenches. Are you out? I mean, how much are you watching your sons, or are you coaching?
I watch every game that I can. I watch every play. I'm not coaching them as a coach on the field with their teams, but we do a lot of work outside of it. So I'm involved with them heavily.
I think that's a good thing.
Yeah.
I don't know if you should be a Major League Baseball coach or even a collegiate coach like Deion has done, and take your sons with you. But, you know, that's my... I got more on college football. Hold for 1 second, Steve. I want to talk to you guys about our great friends at Crowd Health. This is something I'm involved in, trying to upgrade everything that I'm doing. Spent Saturday with my new tax guy, looking at some business strategies to improve things. And I've also made the move to Crowd Health. Let's be honest, the insurance model is broken. Crowd Health puts your health care back in your hands. Use my promo code FEARLESS at joincrowdhealth.com. That's joincrowdhealth.com. If you want to look at an alternative way, a superior way to handle your health care costs, there's nothing you can do better than joincrowdhealth.com. Use my promo code FEARLESS. Get the first 3 months for $99. Trust me, it can be a way to improve what's going on with your healthcare costs. It's a big, game-changing difference maker in how to address healthcare costs. Steve, I want to circle back to you on some more college football. I'm not surprised. Someone told you right here on this show that Georgia would beat Texas and we would see Arch Manning in that game. And lo and behold, that's exactly what happened. Georgia beat up Texas pretty good, welcomed them to the SEC. I don't think this is some huge indictment on Texas as being a fraud. I just think the SEC, it's a week-to-week league that anybody at the top of that deal can knock off anybody. Just the whole struggle of the SEC is an adjustment for Texas coming out of the Big 12. I'm not surprised by this. I don't blame Kirby Smart for being irate at the officiating call that was overturned after fans threw objects onto the field and threw a tantrum. It was ridiculous. It sets a dangerous precedent. Here's Kirby Smart talking about the officiating controversy that was totally justified. Play the clip.
Kirby, can you take us through the reversal of the PI, what the official said to you?
Yeah, he just said the guy got it wrong, or the guy called it on the wrong guy, which it took him a long time to realize that, you know. So it's one of those things that I don't know what I'm allowed to say and not say, so I won't comment because I want to respect the wishes of the SEC office. But I will say that now we've set a precedent that if you throw a bunch of stuff on the field and endanger athletes, that you got a chance to get your call reversed. And that's unfortunate because, to me, that's dangerous. That's not what we want. And that's not criticizing officials. That's what happened.
So the officials make the wrong call on a PI. They stand by the call, and then all this madness occurs from the fans. There's a delay, and the next thing you know, they reverse the call. I'm right there with Kirby Smart. This was I'm telling you, every time it seems like every sporting event has officiating controversy in everything I'm watching. And I don't blame fans for being frustrated, but I think a lot of their frustration is related to the gambling thing that we talk about all the time. They're more invested in the games because they're more invested in the games. But your thoughts about, one, Georgia beating Texas, and two, what we saw on the reversal of the PI, your thoughts?
Well, Kirby's very smart. He said, well, I don't want to, I want to respect the SEC office. He took a shot across the bow. But first of all, I give Georgia credit. I was wrong. I thought the Texas offensive line, which is considered the best in the country, anchored by maybe the best left tackle, would be able to function enough where they would give Sarkisian enough time to dial stuff up. But from the very beginning, Quinn Ewers was shook. And then Arch Manning was not ready to play that game. And it's amazing. A month ago, everyone was jumping off the UGA bandwagon, and Kalen DeBoer was going to have statues built right alongside Nick Saban's. And now there's probably a for sale sign on DeBoer's front lawn. Georgia reasserted itself, and that game was not as close as the score indicated. Now, Jason, towards that particular play, there is a phrase, is the cover-up worse than the crime? So in this particular situation, is the overturn worse than the awful call? And Coach Smart makes an unbelievable point. If you throw a tantrum and hurl objects onto the playing field, do you then get the reversal? I mean, we were watching the game. We didn't have the volume on because we're watching other things. We didn't understand what the delay was. We really didn't, because I've always been told that certain calls are not reviewable. Right? Stuff like pass interference, holding, things of that nature. And when we turned the volume back on, we couldn't believe it. And let's say somehow Georgia starts to flub. They turn the ball over. They give the game back. This would be an unbelievable scandal. Fortunately, the Dogs just completely throttled and dominated the Longhorns throughout.
Steve, I got another college football topic I want to get to. My final football provocative take. Oregon is now ranked number 1. They're 7-0. They just beat Purdue 35-0 at Purdue. That's following their close victory over Ohio State. They play Illinois this weekend. They host Illinois, number 20 Illinois this weekend. They also still have to go to Michigan. They play Maryland. They go to Wisconsin. They play Washington. Oregon will not finish the season undefeated. No one will. This whole of the power schools, no one will. I think the transfer portal and these mega conferences have so evened things out. I just don't expect Oregon it looks like they'll be favored in all these games left on their schedule. But I think in the next 2 weeks, either against Illinois or, and this is probably even more provocative, at Michigan, a very average Michigan team. I think they're going to be undefeated at the longest 2 more weeks. Oregon's going down. College football parity has arrived. There are no super teams. Oregon's stay as an undefeated, ranked number 1 team will be short-lived. Your thoughts?
Jason, I know you don't watch college football as much as you used to. I'm beginning to think you watch none at all. Have you seen this Michigan offense?
I have.
Jason, the ghost of Bo Schembechler has tapped Sharon Moore on the shoulder and says, Sharon, if you don't get Connor Stallions back, this offense is so bad. It's conservative. I don't think they could score if they're the only unit out on the big house by themselves. Jason, Michigan still has some really good defensive parts. There's no doubt about it. Mason Graham, Grant, I think the cornerbacks hurt Will Johnson, but they're tough. They're stout. They can't score. They cannot score consistently enough. And when I look at the Oregon team, you're right. This is a week-to-week sport. Anything can happen. Maybe one of those teams catches them on a bad night. But, and I know it's only Purdue, but for them to go out there kind of cross-country after that emotional win in front of a packed house, I watched a lot of that game, in the way they just systematically and said, you know what, we're going to take care of business. It's not going to, but to pitch a 35-0 shutout, that is a program that is full of serious people. So Oregon had some, maybe Michigan could have upset them in September. We are now going into November, and no, Michigan, stop looking at the logo on the helmet. That offense is terrible, Jason. Someone might beat Oregon. It ain't going to be those guys. No.
Well, hold on. You skipped right over Illinois, 6-1.
That's at home in Autzen. That's in Autzen.
I know.
I like Illinois. Great job by Bielema. But again, and look, that's a very good job that Bielema's doing, and Altmaier's having a good year. But Oregon now seems to be rolling, and the one person people are not talking about for the Heisman, which of course belongs to Cam Ward. But again, Dylan Gabriel should be invited to the banquet as Cam Ward accepts the trophy. Let's get that out there.
Listen, I think Dan Lanning is the heir to Nick Saban. I think,
coach.
and that's not a knock on Kirby Smart or anybody, but I really like Dan Lanning. I just think this football deal, there's so much. When I look at the inconsistent performances and just, like what Vanderbilt's been doing, how Tennessee knocking off Bama this weekend, I think a lot of this is the financial chaos within locker rooms. And I know that may be an advantage Oregon has with all that Nike money and Phil Knight, and they're sitting right next door to their money, their primary financial backer. But I just think it creates a lot of chaos and chemistry problems inside locker rooms. And if Oregon can survive that, hats off to them. I do think they're perhaps are the best team in college football, but I just don't think over the course of a 12-game regular season, you're just going to have a slip-up, and I think it's going to catch Oregon in the next 2 weeks, and if not, over the next 5 weeks.
Jason, I got a question. You mentioned Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt's in Nashville, right? That is a good Cardinal. He was watching that game intently. We had all these other top 10 games, and Darnell was into this game. Did you not even go to that game and get a sideline pass and beat Terrell Owens of Ball State football? What happened? Where were you?
Did not go. Had lunch with some former teammates during the day before the kickoff, but did not go. Look, I hate to say this publicly, but I'm going to say it. Look, man, the school, my Christian conservative values are at odds with Ball State and all these universities.
Okay.
And so I'm just not as passionate as I used to be. I've thrown a lot of support and money behind Ball State. The love isn't reciprocated, so I've just kind of checked out.
Okay.
There you go. I did not. I didn't. Yeah.
Jason, I respect that. I can respect that.
Yeah. So anyway, but Steve, I'm gonna give you the option here. Do you wanna respond to my WNBA take, or you just want me to go solo on this?
Oh, you can go solo. I didn't watch. Hey, for some reason, I decided to watch the NFL over the WNBA. Let me just say one thing, folks. For you WNBA fans out there, nobody watched that game more intently, taking copious notes than my partner, well, the guy that owns the show here. So, yeah, I didn't. I watched a lot of the bad officiating, but, yeah, Jason, you might want to go solo on this one.
I'm going to go solo. Steve, we're going to let you go. We'll see you tomorrow, but I do have a lot to say about the WNBA finals last night. Let me catch my breath here. Wow. And people got upset with me last night because I tweeted out a few comments about the WNBA finals, game 5 last night, and people were like, hey, man, Sunday Night Football's on. The Dodgers and the Mets are playing. What are you doing? And I was like, hey, man, it's 2024. There's nothing easier in the planet than to have multiple screens going on at the same time. You don't have to just watch one game. You got YouTube TV. If you got anything, if you got any laptop, cell phone, multiple screens ain't hard. So yes, I watched Game 5 of the WNBA Finals, the series deciding Game 5 last night, the Minnesota Lynx and the New York Liberty. And I'm glad that I did, because it says a lot about what's going on in the sports world. It was an embarrassment for the WNBA last night. It was proof that this league is so heavily dependent on Caitlin Clark. It's proof that these games are manipulated. And I know that's a strong statement. That's why this over-the-shoulder says rigged, because the WNBA and sports now are so into narrative, so anti-merit, so into what's the best story for the league, that they went out of their way and did everything in their power to make sure the New York Liberty won their first championship in the 28-year history of the WNBA. It's New York's first title since X, Y, and Z. And they made some officiating late in that game that Tim Donaghy has to be somewhere just laughing his rear end off. Like, oh my God, I thought the Sacramento Kings-Lakers series from years ago, I thought that was rigged. Did you watch this? This is what happens when they destroy merit across the board. This whole DEI mentality that is pervasive throughout American institutions, and everybody's trying to mimic DEI. And so what is DEI? Obviously, it's diversity, equity, inclusion. Obviously, it favors people's sexuality, skin color, and all this other stuff. But what it really is the destruction of merit. And a few little people at the top getting to decide who does have success and who doesn't have success. DEI, and many of you are into the racial component of it. And yes, that has to be explored. But at the heart of DEI, it's just the destruction of merit. And if you build a society without merit, where a few little elites get to decide who does have success and who doesn't have success, what you end up with is what happened at the end of this WNBA final series, where the power masters, the power brokers, the people running the league, they say, hey, we need the New York Liberty to win this game. And it ain't just me. The NBA players, LeBron James, was it Dame Lillard I saw, and Isaiah Thomas I saw, not the Isaiah Thomas, but the other Isaiah Thomas. These guys are all tweeting about this in real time, like, holy cow, look at this officiating. Man, the New York Liberty the Minnesota Lynx got absolutely screwed and annihilated. Let me show you the clips. I think there's two different clips. Do we have Breanna Stewart with the obvious traveling? I know we have the foul, but the foul that was called at the end of regulation, but there was also this woman took 6 steps before putting the basketball on the floor on this shot where they called the foul, that she went to the line, shot 2 free throws, and sent the game into overtime. Let's start with that clip. The clip I've been talking about. Could we start with that clip? It's shot number 4. I mean, she didn't get touched. If there was any contact, she initiated. Look at this. She took 6 steps. Here's the worst thing about this. They went to replay because Minnesota rightfully challenged the foul call. There is no foul. There's better angle to this where there is no foul, and Breanna Stewart initiated the contact, and she took 6 steps before putting the basketball on the floor. They could have called traveling. And when they went to replay, they certainly could have overturned the foul call. But the other part of this that you're perhaps missed is just how awful this game was. I mean, it was bad product. Sabrina Ionescu, their star guard, who complained about making the second team all WNBA team after game 3, took a little subtle shot at Caitlin Clark. She went 1 of 19 from the field. 1 of 19 from the field. You know, that's really hard to do. Really hard. In the last 2 games, game 4 and 5, I think she shot 6 of 34 from the field. Breanna Stewart, 2-time MVP, she went 4 of 15 from the field. These people said, hey, Angel Reese, hold my beer. You think you can't play offense? Watch what we do in game 5, this series finale. The team that won shot 30% from the field, 2 of 23 from three-point range, won the game because they were sent to the free throw line either 23 or 25 times, and the Minnesota Lynx shot 8 free throws. And Cheryl Reeve, the head coach of the Minnesota Lynx, had every right to be irate. I don't even like Cheryl Reeve. She's the woman that hates Caitlin Clark and participated in leaving Caitlin Clark off the Olympic team. Let's play shot number 6, where she just says it flat out. This thing was stolen from us. Shot 6.
I know all the headlines will be Reeve cries foul. Bring it on, right? Bring it on, because this shit was stolen from us. Bring it on.
Hats off to you, lady, because you're 1,000% right. Between the officiating, how poorly the New York Liberty played, and just both teams played poorly, to just be honest. I mean, an overtime game was decided. What was the final score? 67-62? I mean, they couldn't score. They were exhausted. They can't handle a 5-game series. They were literally exhausted. And they're expanding to a 7-game series next year. No one wants to see that. They need to thank God there was a Sunday night football game on a Major League Baseball playoff game on last night, and that few people probably stuck through this or watched it. And then it's overshadowed by Russell Wilson and Aaron Rodgers, because if people had watched this, it's like, holy cow, what are these people doing without Caitlin Clark? They dump on their meal ticket, and this is the product they put out? The one woman worth watching? They take a dump on her, and then they put this product out, and they're talking about more teams coming to this league? They're expanding the league. They don't have, there's 12 teams, 12 players on each team, 144 players. There's not 144 players to fill up the rosters they have now. I want to play you this extended, this is like a 50-second clip. This is shot number 8 of just what I witnessed and what anybody that watched this game witnessed. This is a little 50-second clip of action from that WNBA Finals game last night. Play shot 8.
Time we've seen that. The first was in the first quarter. McBride understanding she has the mismatch, going to multiple moves to get around her.
Big bucket from McBride. Savely center of the lane. Can't finish. Gets it back. In the corner. Thornton. No. And New York 0 for 13 from 3 in game 5. 1-point Liberty lead. Williams into the paint. Flips it up. Wanted a whistle. Did not get it. Liberty with a little pace. Semi-transition. Jones trying to grab it. Trapped in the corner. New York could take a timeout if they need to. Instead, Jones throws it away. Don't want to give away possessions in a game like this as Williams now steps out.
That's what that game looked like. I sat through it, watched the other stuff while I'm watching it, but it was a brutal brutal game. And they're expanding these women were exhausted. The 5-game series wore them out, and they're going to 7. They're adding more teams. They don't have the talent to fill up the teams they have right now. The quality of play isn't good enough. This is the worst run sports league in the history of America. They get one gift, Caitlin Clark, and the entire league, for the most part, hates Caitlin Clark and tries to diminish Caitlin Clark and want to showcase all of these other women that people aren't interested in. And then they want to take a dump on Caitlin Clark fans and call them racist. This is the worst run league in the history of American sports. And then they rig the finals to make sure the New York Liberty can win, and they rig it, and the 2 best players on the Liberty, Breanna Stewart and Sabrina Ionescu, play like hot garbage in game 4 and 5. You couldn't play any worse than they played in game 5. And it's all about narrative. Holly Rowe, love you to death, but Lord have mercy, you got one of the hardest jobs in the world. You're trying to sell this after everybody just sat through, like, their eyes are bleeding if you watch that game. And Holly Rowe comes on camera and starts calling this a beautiful game of basketball. Play SOT 13.
Well, congratulations to the New York Liberty, the 2020 WNBA champions. But first, I want to say a special thank you to the Minnesota Lynx. I don't know about you, but that is some of the most beautiful basketball we have ever seen in WNBA Finals history, and both teams deserve a ton of credit and love.
67-62, overtime. Winning team shoots 30% from the field. In the overtime, they outscore them 7-2. There's more turnovers than made baskets in the overtime. 2 of your best players that are on the winning team. One is 4 of 15 from the field. The other is 1 of 19 from the field. No one can make a shot. And I get it. Holly Rowe has a job to do. She's got to say, this is history. This is incredible. And Sabrina Ionescu's, I would have been embarrassed if I was Sabrina Ionescu. I'd have been embarrassed if I was Breanna Stewart. They sent her to the line. They handed her the game. She wasn't fouled. She took 6 steps. The whole thing's rigged. I want to play an extended cut of Cheryl Reeves talking about the foul call because she deserves this. They literally had a championship stolen from them so that they could complete the narrative that the New York Liberty did something great and incredible here. And they're always pandering to the big market elites. And you wonder why I keep saying, hey, we need a rival league. Caitlin Clark deserves better than this. America deserves better than this. A properly run league. They do have some interesting stories. They have some interesting players. The sloppy play isn't. Sometimes it's you feel sorry for them and it's halfway cute. They're women, and so they're not that good. It could all be sold and understood if it wasn't such a political league, if it wasn't such a narrative-driven league, if they just lean into merit and true competition rather than this rig job they put us through. This is how they concluded their most watched season, by putting on an awful basketball display combined with some of the worst officiating I've ever seen in all of sports, particularly when they had a replay and could have overturned this call that handed the Liberty overtime and handed them the game. Let's let Cheryl Reeve fire off SOT number 5.
Coach, maybe you could speak to that too, just about what you saw with the offense over the last half of that game as New York tried to pressure.
I saw a very physical and aggressive New York team. We know this from being a part of the game for so long that sometimes you get away with stuff when you're physical and aggressive, and they certainly did. It's a shame that officiating had such a hand in a series like this. Obviously, there's always going to be a team that's going to be a little more disappointed than the other. I thought today was incredibly disappointing. the challenge. We have got to change our challenge rules, and the officials doing the game should have a third party, because that was not a foul. That call should have been reversed on that challenge. If we sent that clip in, well, first of all, Nafisa Collier, the number of times that she's held, et cetera, and there's nothing down that end, right? Which we, it's kind of, for whatever reason in the series, that was kind of the way it was. But when at the other end, when we challenged it, if we would have turned that clip in, they would have told us that it was marginal contact, no foul. Guaranteed. Guaranteed. So when you review, those should be the same parameters that you're reviewing with. But the three people that are on the game need a third party to let them know, because that decided the game. That decided the game.
She's 1,000% accurate. How could you, as an official, watch someone catch the ball to the three-point line and take 6 steps before ever putting the ball on the floor and ending up near the free throw line, and then go up for a shot? She's not touched, and there's multiple angles showing she's not touched. And if there is any lower body contact, she initiated. The woman's just standing there. And Breanna Stewart runs right into her. This is, it's criminal. And it just leaves a bad taste in any and everybody's mouth that watched it. It's what, for me last night, because again, combine it with the emotions I had watching NFL games this weekend. But I don't know if you watched Tennessee Buffalo, but did you watch any of that?
A little bit of it, some of the highlights.
I watched the game. And there was a moment where Calvin Ridley, and this is just a small thing, but it's just like, hey man, this officiating problem we have in all of sports and how it's undermining the credibility of all sports. But there was a moment, and these television networks in on it, because in the Tennessee Buffalo football game, Calvin Ridley, they threw a pass to him and they called pass interference on the defense. And the Bills were incensed, like, are you kidding me? It's crazy. And it was a crazy bad call. Everybody's upset. The broadcasters are questioning it in real time. And so you're sitting there on the edge of your seat like, hey, they're going to show me a replay of this. They never showed a replay of it. They cut to here's Calvin Ridley earlier in the game and Mason Rudolph not connecting with him. While the game is stopped, they're showing me Calvin Ridley's earlier plays. They're not showing me what just happened on this pass interference call. And then they come back and then they just move on like the pass interference. It never happened. And I was like, how can they do this? How can the television network do this? They're not going. They know that this is a questionable PI. They're looking at Buffalo complain. The broadcasters have acknowledged that it's a controversial PI, but they never show the audience. And then they have a prepared clip, 2 highlights of Calvin Ridley from early in the game while they're killing time. This was crazy to me. Last night, during this NBA Finals game, WNBA Finals game, the referee goes to the replay monitor and sticks with the call and comes back and says something along the lines of the defender was in an illegal position. And that literally, someone out there correct me if I'm wrong, but the explanation was the defender was in an illegal position. That was his explanation for why they called the foul. Rebecca Lobo is a former WNBA player, former college basketball star. She's the broadcaster. Ryan Ruocco is the play-by-play guy. They've been the top people They never explained. They never questioned what the referee said. They never explained to the audience. Well, how can the defender be in an illegal position? Standing on the court is an illegal position? No one explained it. He stuck with the call by saying she was in an illegal position, and I still don't know what it was. The audience still doesn't know what it was. And that's where I go, like, these networks got to be in on it. How every week there's and there's other things that went on in the NFL with the officiating that's just like mind-blowing to me. I know I've exhausted this topic. I know some of you all, why are you talking about the WNBA? Because I'm interested in it, and it's fascinating. And before I went off on this, I gave you, an hour and 20 minutes of football talk and all that other stuff. So I'm going to talk about the WNBA because I'm interested in it, and it's fascinating. And I'm sorry you're too stupid. I'm sorry, I don't want to go off on my audience, but it's fascinating what's going on in all of sports. And it applies. They're removing merit. They're getting you used to no merit by these sports leagues. It's not about who's the best. It's what's the best story. And the network will sell it to you. And the refs will sell it to you. And no one will say a word. They want you used to thinking, oh, if the right people. And I'm going to get into this probably tomorrow, because I got to get to Shemeka and shut up here because I'm just going on and on and on. But I'm going to get to it tomorrow. I voted on Friday. And I'm going to give you a full explanation of why I voted. You know part of it. Again, Eric Metastasis came on this show, helped me realize, like, I got to vote if I'm going to be serious about I want January 6 people released from prison. Trump's the only way. But there are additional reasons why I voted. And a lot of it is directly related to the absence and the removal of merit and the promotion of DEI. Going to give you the whole explanation of what they're doing with they want these symbols. I hate to blow tomorrow's show. I'm not blowing tomorrow's show because you want to see it. I'm going to get into it. My explanation for voting in terms of how they're offering black people and sympathetic, guilt-ridden white people. They're basically saying to black people, you don't need fathers, you need symbols. And we're going to give you symbols. On your television screen, we're going to load it up with symbols. We're going to decide who's the head coach, who's the referee, who wins or loses, and we're going to put a big display on your TV screen, on your laptop, on your smartphone of all these symbols. And you're going to be foolish enough to think that those symbols are a replacement for family. Father, mother, child. That's your replacement. This symbol, this black referee is going to so inspire your child that he's not going to need a father. He has a symbol on TV. They're totally connecting you to the matrix, away from reality. Like, hey, what we put on TV, that's reality. And if we tell you on TV that cops are killing unarmed black men at a rapid number and black men are going to be extinct, you're going to believe it because you're connected to this matrix, this screen that they've given you, and you've been removed from reality. And so, oh my God, don't you get it? Mike Tomlin's a head coach and Deion Sanders a head coach. These guys are symbols. Your son and daughter, they don't need a father. We've given them symbols on this TV screen. I'm going to get into that tomorrow, but I got to get to Shemeka Michelle. I want to give you one last reminder. Go to joincrowdhealth.com. Use the promo code FEARLESS. And check out crowdhealth.com, a unique way to address your healthcare costs. It's a fantastic way. Joincrowdhealth.com. Use the promo code FEARLESS. Shemeka Michelle on the other side of this. Next. And today's example is, there's this so-called rival basketball league or unrivaled basketball league. They call it the Unrivaled Basketball League. TNT has invested in it. It's for women's basketball, and they're going to play 3-on-3 basketball during the offseason. And it's the dumbest idea that I've ever heard. And the Unrivaled Basketball League, there's a big conversation that's been going on the past 24, 48 hours. Michael McCarthy, Front Office Sports, wrote an article about how the Unrivaled Basketball League, which will be during the offseason of the WNBA, is trying to recruit Caitlin Clark. And I'm like, Caitlin, please do everything in your power. Avoid the Unrivaled Basketball League. It's a disaster in the making. You don't want to be associated with it. The league is not going to work. People do not, will not, have no interest in watching women play 3-on-3 basketball. It's a dumb idea. You know what it is? It's controlled opposition. It's a gimmick to stop Caitlin Clark and anyone else. Shemeka Michelle, welcome back to the show. Before we get to the chat, I do want to run a topic past you, Shemeka. Tyrese Haliburton, Pacers point guard, Indiana Pacers point guard. He sent out a congratulations video, I think privately to 50 Cent, and 50 Cent released it. 50 Cent now has a residency in Las Vegas. He's attached to some hotel where he performs. You know, it's the kind of thing Celine Dion and, you know, mainstream, or not that he's not mainstream, but, you know, music artists have been getting for a long time. 50 Cent now has one, a rapper with a residency at a hotel. Good luck, and I hope everyone wears a bulletproof vest to that hotel when 50 Cent is having his residency there. But Tyrese Haliburton must have gone and partied at whatever hotel or club is connected to 50 Cent, and he sent 50 Cent a congratulatory video. Let's play the clip, and then I want your reaction.
Fifth, what's up, brother? Wanted to congratulate you on your Vegas residency. You've always shown love, so I want to show love back. Appreciate you. Congratulations. That's a big honor. It's 4 a.m. I just got back from the club, but I got to make sure I show love to my guy. Congratulations, brother. Keep going.
I think that video is a bad look for Tyrese Haliburton. 4 a.m., not the time to be sending out videos. If he sent it to 50 Cent, now it's released over social media. I think it's a bad look for the three ladies. He's shirtless. It's 4 a.m., and he's created the impression that he's about to shoot a three-pointer. That's what he's known for in the NBA, and it looks like he's got a three-pointer lined up right there out in Vegas. Those ladies should be embarrassed. Maybe they didn't expect the videos to go viral and get released. And then, you know, he's got his snow boots on, that's for sure. That won't play well over Twitter. Anyway, just your thoughts, Tyrese Haliburton. And I like Tyrese Haliburton. He plays for the Pacers. He's very good friends with Caitlin Clark. But I don't think this video is the look he wants or those three ladies. But your thoughts?
You know, I would say it's a bad look simply because from what I researched about him, he professes to be a Christian and says that he goes to church every chance that he gets. He goes to chapel before the game. So that was a little confusing because the Bible tells you to abstain from the appearance of evil. And as you said, it was 4 a.m. and he has these three women here. But that was after I did some research. Just on looking at it the first time, I thought, what about, I didn't see anything wrong because you mentioned that, you know, we were going to discuss this. And so I went and looked at the video and I thought, I don't see what we're going to talk about. I looked at the video 3 times, Jason, and then I said, let me go in the comments to see, maybe this can help me figure out what's going on here. And then I saw all of the Snow Bunny comments, and I thought to myself, oh my God, am I becoming one of these people that say I don't see color? Because it never dawned on me. And then I thought, or maybe it's my own bias. I see a African American and I just don't care. So I was trying to figure out what's wrong with me because he has that big red hair, from the 5 Heartbeats, that my office hours are 9 to 5. And, I just didn't care.
Interesting. That's obviously I didn't care, but I do. That's fascinating that you didn't see. Wow, that is fascinating that you didn't see the talking point because he is getting brutalized or teased over social media. I didn't know until you just told me that he's a professing Christian, and now that takes it up even another notch for me. And then the other thing, he's got some girlfriend, and maybe she was in that because she's at a lot of Fever games with him, and maybe she was in that video as well. I would imagine she is, but I just don't think I don't think it's a good look. Even if I didn't even know the Christian part, it's just like, you're a man. You just put these 3 women out here in a way that makes them look, for lack of a better description, pretty slutty. So let's take Christian out of it. You're a man. I wouldn't be putting 3 women out here making them look slutty. I just wouldn't do it. You got to be the decision maker and the protector. They seem pretty happy to be in the video. I'm sure they didn't expect the video to go viral, but they're not public figures. Tyrese Haliburton is. He should be smart enough to know anything he puts on camera and sends to someone else, there's a chance it's going to go viral, or it could go viral. Now you've given someone leverage over you. I just think bad decision-making all around on Tyrese Haliburton's part. The other thing that I wanted your take on, what do you think about a rapper having a residency? And again, I lived out in LA for 10 years and spent a lot of time in Las Vegas. A rapper with a residency at a hotel is mind-blowing to me because I've lived long enough to know that there was a lot of hotels that avoided the rap scene because too much drama goes along with it. No different than the nightclub across the street from me it's now shut down. It was called Vibes. And you play hip hop, there's gonna be gun violence. Period, end of story. A lot of hotels in Vegas for a long time. It's why all of these EDC type DJs, give me right off the name of one of these popular DJs. But anyway, they would always get these big deals at the hotels, get paid millions of dollars to come DJ music, but the rappers wouldn't because they didn't want anything to do with the rap crowd. And to see a rapper get a residency at a hotel, that's kind of mind-blowing to me.
Jason, when you said a big DJ, I figured I'm old because I thought DJ Nabs, Kid Capri, that's who I was thinking. Who am I supposed to choose? Hopefully 50 Cent's audience is a bit older, maybe. I don't know, because he has this whole power thing, and I know that he's brought in some younger fans, but I'm hoping that he has a crowd that won't be in there acting like untamed gorillas. I know I'm a little bit biased, Jason, because if it was Ghetto Boys, I would be perfectly fine with them having a residency, and I would be trying to make my way out there to fill in for Bushwick Bill, of course.
Let me throw out, Butter, you recognize any of these names? These are guys that were popular. Calvin Harris. You never heard of Calvin Harris?
I don't know.
Oh, man, these guys get paid millions to...
I don't think I do.
DJ Afrojack, Skrilla X, David Guetta. These guys have been popular for a long time just playing, hip-hop, not hip-hop music, whatever, that EDC type music or whatever. Wow, I'm missing. There used to be some bigger now. I'm getting old now. But anyway, they would never give these deals. Marshmallow's a big deal now, but he wasn't popular when I used to go out there all the time. Dead Mouse. You never heard of Dead Mouse?
I don't got nothing on none of this.
I don't even know how to pronounce it, but he was hugely popular out there in 2010, from 2010, Dead Mouse, big deal. You ever heard of any of these guys? I'm telling you, they get paid a ton of money. And the rappers would be all upset. How come we can't get, it's because you bring too much violence. If you're out there, Steve Aoki is another big one. But yeah, Dead Mouse, I dated a woman that Dead Mouse, she lived and died for and would take me to the, rappers couldn't get those deals, and now 50 Cent has. And I don't, just because 50's old doesn't mean the same idiots. There's old idiots out there. It's kind of surprising to me. I need to find out what hotel it is so I can make sure I avoid it if I ever go to Vegas. I got to go to Vegas in December. Some friends of mine are doing their 50th wedding all over again. Anyway, I'm rambling. Shemeka, let's get to the chat. What's popping in the chat?
It'll be interesting today.
Oh, it is? You've been following the chat?
I don't know.
All right, what's popping, Shemeka?
Okay, so I do have a super chat. I have some butter praise, and I have some Jason hate for you to respond to. But before I get to that, Larry Connor Jr. was in the chat, and he said Whitlock is going to drive a UPS truck after today's show. And I saw it, and I didn't get it. And then he said again, Jason is going to work for UPS after the show. And then finally, I looked at your shirt. And I got it. It is kind of UPS-ish.
Yeah. I pick up some extra hours at UPS when I'm not driving an Uber. Good call, Larry.
So
Next.
when you were talking, I think about Russell Wilson, and you ended up putting butter in the butter box, the chat went crazy because they said butter is right. They said free butter. Damn, chill on butter, man. And not your average Negro said, Jason is wrong here. Butter has a good take, and I agree with him. Free butter. Someone else said butter was right. Jason's just hating. So today, the chat was all about butter. And then he really saved himself when you asked him about Ryan Clark, and he said that he sits down to pee, which I think would be a great clip. Somebody said Butter has earned a get out of Butter box free card that he can use for a week. They loved that comment.
Well, first of all, I wasn't the one that made the motion to put butter in the butter box. It flew right over my head. I just responded to what people on the team were saying. It was a suggestion by someone on the team, and they brought to my attention the silliness of comparing Russell Wilson to Patrick Mahomes. So don't be mad at me. Be mad at Jack Stallard.
What can Brown do for you?
Yeah, Jack Stallard is who you should have a problem with.
You levied the fine. You could have vetoed that, Mr. Whitlock.
Well, after replay review.
Okay, I've got some support out there early on. We got to take it.
And you knew that there was going to be support. That's why I said, can't wait for today's chat. Anyway, next.
Lane Kramer gave a super chat. Thank you, Lane. But he said to you, Jason, so with Aaron's play this year, do you feel he might retire after this year? Could his play be related to his injury from last year?
No, I think Aaron took the game for granted a bit this offseason, didn't bring the right mindset into this season. I don't think if this goes poorly, I can't see him walking away if this goes poor. I don't see him trying to end on a really sour note with the Jets, and particularly since Devontae Adams just joined him mid-season here. I think he goes at least one more round with the Jets, would be my prediction.
And for the
Next.
Jason hate, this is the Jason hate.
Yeah.
RT the brand said, Jason, this is when you were talking about Deion, okay? So he says, Jason moving the goalposts like a mug. Ha false flag says, Jason, you moving the bar player. He wasn't supposed to win another game not too long ago. And then Captain African said, this man is a certified hater. First it was they not winning 5 games this year. Now it's the competition isn't good. SMFH. What say ye?
Shaking my effing head. I say that Steve Kim and Coach JB were the people most down on Deion winning 4 or 5 games this year. I always thought, I think, and we'll have to check my records, I always thought 5 or 6 victories was a possibility. I will say 5-2 is better than I thought. If Baylor had a legitimate coach and had knocked them off earlier, I do think this whole thing would have went different. They didn't do that, so it's going different. Look, if they get to 7 wins, I'll eat crow and say I was somewhat wrong. But I don't care if they get to 10 wins. I'm not wrong about Deion and the shortcut he's taken to 5 victories and may take the 7 or 8 victories this year. I'll never back down. The way Deion's approach isn't right. It's no different than me saying, hey, look, there's a lot of rappers out there that have made millions upon millions of dollars, selling lyrical porn. I got no respect for it. So there it is. That's it. That's all. We good?
That's all I have. I look forward to your story tomorrow about voting. I took my 2 younger ones who voted for the first time in a presidential election. So I'm excited to hear what you have to say tomorrow. But that's all I got today.
Awesome. We will get into that tomorrow and some other sports stuff. There's good Monday Night Football tonight. Baltimore Ravens are in action. So we'll see you. We'll play tomorrow, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Freedom, looking for a breakout, feeling like a standoff, nothing in life like freedom. Came like a fighter, striking like a ladder, making all these moves for freedom. I want freedom. No negotiation, my system, no relation, we all just wanna have freedom. Sitting on a corner, never been alone, I'm breaking my back for freedom. Blessed, we are living, get back, we are receiving, no deceiving, we all wanna be free. We want freedom. I wanna be, I just